ghost is the essence, soul, spirit, whatever you will, of a human being that has died. And for whatever reason, their essence is lingering in particular locations. Some people suggest, though, that actual locations have the ability to record images, emotions, experiences, and every once in a while, if the conditions are correct, that location will record, will play back, if you will, these experiences. So it's, in essence, it's a bit like watching a film of the past. Now we could go on like this for hours. There's all kinds of interesting explanations, including warps in the space-time continuum, all kinds of weird and wonderful things. But whether it's caused by a ghost or not, whether these occurrences are actually caused by a ghost, really does depend on what the individual believes. What the word paranormal actually means is something which science has no explanation for. And if science can't explain it, it will do so. It will try and do so. It will run experiments to try and explain what is going on. Now, generally, if you get someone of a scientific mind coming down to the vaults, and we do get serious scientists from universities and research centres running experiments down here, they usually tend to approach it from what we might describe as a sceptical point of view. Most of them, 99.9% of them, do not believe that ghosts exist. But they're trying to explain why. Now, for a skeptical person, for somebody who doesn't believe in ghosts, they would argue that people want to believe in ghosts for whatever reason, and therefore they tend to interpret anything that happens to them as being caused by a ghost. And we know that human beings are susceptible to suggestion, particularly if they're in a strange location, they're told it's very haunted, and therefore if they're inclined to believe in ghosts, they're more willing to interpret anything that happens to them as being caused by a ghost. You're actually now underneath the bridge itself. Okay? The rooms you've just been in are technically part of the tenement building of Blair Street. That's the back wall of it. We call this room the double height room, and the reason we call it the double height room is because there originally was a room above us. You can see, if you turn the torch, you can see the door there, the entranceway that's been sealed off. That wooden door we put in as set dressing to give the impression of the room. From the outset, this room has always been one of the most paranormally active, and this is the room where the elemental appears. Now you'll notice that there's a bit of a break in the ceiling. Originally the room above it, which is now our shop, was just an empty room. And basically what would happen is this dark flapping object, which is generally described as a bird-like apparition, would come sweeping down and basically attack people. Now, madam, if a great black flappy thing came towards you at eye height at a great rate of knots with claws coming out towards you, what would you do? What, scream, and what would your physical reaction be? Run. Or duck. It's fine, some people run. Most people would just do that. And what's interesting is, if that occurred, we might see this lady duck, but we wouldn't see the thing itself. She would see it, maybe some other people in the room would see it, but the rest of us probably wouldn't. All we'd see is her reaction. So she would be left going, there's a big black flappy thing coming towards me, and the rest of us would be going, here. And this is actually, remember I was saying the visual thing isn't quite specific, but this is what happens. We've had reports of people saying this black thing flapping came towards me, and the rest of the group saying a person in the corner suddenly hit the deck screaming that something was attacking them, and I couldn't see it. I couldn't see anything. What is it? I don't know. An answer. An elemental is supposed to be a kind of creature that's raised by what we would consider forms of ancient pagan magic. And there is a suggestion suggestion that during the really early part of the 19th century that these vaults might have been used by Edinburgh's version of the Hellfire Club, but the historic records about this are incredibly sketchy. Anyway, the Hellfire Club was more about getting drunk and having an orgy than anything else. Certainly wasn't really about doing forms of pagan magic. It's probable that what this thing is very, very old indeed. We know that human beings have lived in the vicinity of what we now call Edinburgh for millennia, thousands upon thousands of years. And during that whole stretch of prehistory, we have absolutely no idea what religious beliefs, what spiritual...
I suddenly heard something flying past the camera. Could it have been the elemental?
Spiritual activities that the prehistoric folk of these islands got up to. So it's possible that whatever it is truly ancient and just like some kind of quirk of fate, if you will.
Oh, can you come in this room? Oh, this room. Can you take a flash of it? Flash of this room. I heard it buzz. Twice. Okay, Mum's going to take a flash of this room. Through the doorway.
I can't see a thing. There. Okay. Oh wow, look at that.
You'll come in with me. I'm shooting myself. Is this a possible apparition of Mr. Boots? You decide. Think for yourself. At this point, we had no idea of the apparition that we just saw in the picture. We later on looked at this picture and then saw the apparition. Yeah, I know. Not very stable.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, you are free to spend as little or as long
Can we
in
just
this room,
take
examining the stuff as you want. And when you are done, you are free to go out to the den of sin and iniquity that is known as the Mercator's Gift Shop, where you can buy traditional books on ghost stories, you can buy little pin badges, reusable shopping bags, t-shirts, mugs, you name it, which will declare to the world that you did, in fact, survive the South British Rocks.